Because all there are now are remakes. Only horror the studio's greenlight.
May I take a message?
You are the message. I'm gonna slit your eyelids in half so you don't blink when I stab you in the face.
Fuck Bruce Willis.
Sheriff, you're not cheating on your wife if you have my lemon squares. Yeah? But I would be cheating on my diet.
That's a good one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Franchise Deep Dive with Jake and Josh, the podcast where we dive deep into all of your favorite and least favorite movie franchises. I'm Jake.
And I'm Josh.
And Josh, how the hell you doing today, man? It's your birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Josh. I mean, when you're listening to this, it'll be like a week after his birthday. But when we're recording, it is his birthday. He is a ripe old age of 45.
I am.
Right?
I am. Yep. 45 years young. I wonder how many people you think would believe that? Probably like a good amount.
No.
You know.
I mean, if you're just listening, I don't even think you sound 45, but you definitely don't look 45. Like I'd guess like 25. I'd guess like 28. So, doing good with the, whatever facial treatment you got going on, whatever skincare routine you have.
Yeah.
But I am glad to hear you're doing well, buddy. Obviously, happy birthday, of course. Again, you. Everybody wish Josh a happy birthday in the comments down below, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're listening or watching this on. Wish him a happy birthday. But outside of that, we are, of course, continuing the road to Scream 7 with the fourth entry in the film, Scre4m, otherwise known as Scream 4, which every time I say Scre4m, for some reason Josh thinks it's the funniest thing. So
it's like the same thing. I just always laugh when someone says Fan 4 stick. It just gets me. I don't know.
Can they just like stop anytime they have like a 4? Can they just stop putting it in the actual marketing and posters where the A is supposed to be? It's repetitive, man. They just keep doing it, and I don't understand why. But yes, we are, like I said, we are continuing the road to Scream 7. We have moved away from the original Scream trilogy, obviously Scream 1, 2, and 3. We are moving on to Scream 4, released in 2011. It is the last entry in the series directed by Wes Craven, and like I mentioned on our previous episode, was unfortunately the last film that Wes Craven would ever go on to direct, as he would go on to pass away in 2015, I believe in August of that year, after a long battle with cancer. And I remember in high school, his death actually like affecting me pretty significantly, because I had just grown up such a huge fan of the Scream films and a good amount of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So his death, I remember in high school learning about it and just coming home from school that day and being like pretty depressed about a celebrity death. And I think that was like one of the first times I can remember a celebrity death impacting me significantly. So, moving on from that dour note, I don't know why I went down that depressing.
Way to dampen the mood, Jake. Jeez.
Don't worry, guys. I will bring the mood back up when we actually start the discussion. But getting into the sort of setting the stage for this film. It has a budget of $40 million, a box office of 97 mil, which is the lowest in the entire Scream franchise, the only film in the series not to cross $100 million at the box office, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 61%, so higher critical reception than Scream 3, but significantly lower than both Scream 1 and 2. And that's sort of the backstory of it. Let me just read off this IMDb synopsis. Apologies, guys, when I change tabs on here, if my face gets brighter. I noticed that while editing the Scream 3 episode, that when I changed tabs on my computer, that it changed the way I looked. So no way around that, and I'm not gonna look at my phone. So let's see where we check in with the Scream universe. 10 years after the original Woodsboro murders, one of the survivors returns home to promote their new book about surviving trauma, only for a new Ghostface killer to emerge, targeting a new group of teens. And before we get into trivia and the discussion and our history with this film, I just want to run down the cast real quick. Obviously, we have Neve Campbell returning as Sidney Prescott. We have Courtney Cox returning as Gale Weathers. David Arquette returning as Detective Dewey, not Detective, Chief Dewey Riley. In this film, we also have the addition of Allison Brie as Rebecca, Marley Shelton as Deputy Judy Hicks, Anthony Anderson as Deputy Perkins, Nico Tortorella as Trevor, Marielle Jaff as Olivia, Britt Robertson as Marnie, Adam Brody as Detective Haas, Roger L. Jackson returning as Ghostface, of course, Shanae Grimes as Trudy, Eric Knudsen as Robbie, Mary McDonnell as Kate Roberts, Justin Brandt as Film Geek. I don't know why they have that listed. And I feel like I am missing... Where the heck...
Did you say Rory?
No, and that's why Google is throwing me off. We have Rory Culkin as Charlie Walker. And of course, we have Emma Roberts as Jill Roberts. So great casting decision there. Using the same last name, making it real nice and easy on us. I think that's all the important cast.
So the plot on IMDb says 10 years after.
Yes.
But Wikipedia says 15th anniversary. Which one do you believe?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Because it is 15 years after the first one.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
IMDb, you sly son of a bitch, trying to get one over on me. Yeah, Josh is right. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so it is 15 years. Obviously, it takes place in 2011. The original taking place in 1996 when it was released. So yeah, IMDb.
I thought maybe they were doing I thought IMDb was maybe doing 10 years after the third one, which makes a little bit more sense. But 10 years after the most recent event. But
yeah, so somebody fucked up over it. IMDb has been going downhill for years now, and this is just more evidence of that. We've already ran into multiple scenarios where just reading through the IMDb trivia, come to find out that half of the shit isn't real for these movies. But yeah, so moving on from all of the setting the stage for Scre4m, what is your relationship and history with this film? Because I know that you are, from what I understand, more familiar with Scream 1, 2, and 3, mostly Scream 1. I know you don't watch the sequels nearly as much as I do or have rewatched them in the recent years. And I know that you haven't seen Scream 4 particularly in a long time. And I've been kind of maybe a little too much hyping it up for the last couple of years. So, A, I want to know just your relationship with this film the first time you watched it, your reaction to it, and B, overview, starting thoughts about how you feel now, and then we can go into the plot.
I saw this in theaters. That's a plus. I'm trying to remember where I was when I first realized that they were doing a sequel. I just remember being very excited, and oh, dude, it was because I know I've told Jake I love watching Scream 1 in October, and he's like, I can't get behind that because this is such a I believe spring summery movie to me. Which I do also agree with, because Scream is very spring. It's very, very spring. So this coming out in April, you're getting that nice breeze of fresh weather. Flowers are blooming. Smelling the air is good, and you're getting a Scream movie, and it was so fun. I did have to be accompanied by a parent because I think I was 16 at the time. Yes, so much build up around it. I was so excited. I wasn't even nervous. I wasn't really nervous about stuff like that. I was just excited for horror movies. It didn't really matter what was coming out, but I remember really loving it when I first saw it. And I watched it a few times in those early years because I bought it when it came out. And then I must have gone 10 years or so without watching it. And yeah, I mean, I'm probably not as high on it. I feel like I'm not as high on a lot of movies as I maybe used to be in high school, but I feel like that's normal. But dude, I just remember having such a fun time. We went with a couple friends, and it's disappointing you weren't old enough to see it in theaters. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't have a parent take you.
I just wasn't.
Or you weren't really into Scream it then.
No, I was. It just, Actually, no, I don't think I was as into. I think this was right when I was getting into horror films, so I don't know if I had gotten to Scream yet. Because I know in the first episode where we talked about Scream 1, I had highlighted how there was a week in high school where I had watched that movie like 7 times and had read the script multiple times. Again, it just goes back to I had parents that just, they're not the biggest movie people. Had a dad who was constantly working, so he didn't have like a ton of free time to like take me to the movies. And again, we lived like 25-30 minutes away from the closest theater, so it's not like we could just 5 minutes down the road just kind of pop over to the theater.
Oh.
Yeah, so that had a lot of, well, I didn't get to see a lot of films in theaters when I was really young, before I had the my own driver's license and like my own freedom to drive me where I needed to go and wanted to go. So yeah. So I guess I'm in the opposite camp, because I remember renting Scream 4 from a local video rental store, 48 Hours Video, which is now shut down, of course. It's 2026, but yeah, I remember renting it on Blu-ray back then and coming home and watching it. And I think I'm in the opposite camp. I think I was very attached to at least Scream 1, and at that point in my life, I think I had seen Scream 1, 2, and 3, but I don't think I had really fallen in love with the franchise in the way that I am now. But I didn't love 4 at first. It just felt like maybe it was because it had come after all of those sequels and reboots and remakes, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake and the Black Christmas remake and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and all of those really terrible like mid to late 2000s horror sequels, reboots, remakes, yada yada. So I think I was just in the mindset of like, I just wanted new original things, and I didn't really think that we even needed a Scream 4, because at the time I think I held the belief that the ending of Scream 3 was just like the perfect cap off to that story and that trilogy and those set of characters. So it seemed like Scream 4 was like a bit redundant at this point. And now I'm guys, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to lend my hand extremely early, not just for this episode, but for the subsequent episodes. This is my favorite Scream sequel. I have my criticisms with this as a movie. I have my issues and critiques from a filmmaking, from a screenwriting perspective. But on a personal enjoyment level, Scream 4 is by far and away my favorite sequel. I don't love it or enjoy it as much as the original film. Nothing really comes close to the original Scream in my opinion. But I love this movie. Like, thoroughly from start to finish. It's one of those, I don't even want to say guilty pleasures, because I do think it is inherently a good, solid, competent movie. But I just love it. It's the type of movie I just throw on and I enjoy. I sit back, I make a bowl of popcorn, I grab a nice ice cold Coca-Cola, and I just sit back and I enjoy it. I'm throwing popcorn in my mouth, like in the cartoonish way, like Tom Cruise does, where he just like takes a single piece and Kobe Bryant's it into his mouth. But yeah, I love Scream 4 at this point, so I'm very excited to talk about this movie. So you did just say that you are not as high on it now as you were, and I know.
No.
So
no, because I thought it was really good when I first saw it.
You no longer think that it is really good.
I think it's good. I think it's quite good. I think it's good. I think it's good.
Okay, I like that. That's fine. That's totally valid. Starting off question before we get into the discussion is, do you like this more than Scream 2 and 3?
I think I do.
Okay. All right. That is.
I think I do. I think I just cheered Jake up, but
okay. All right.
I'm not gonna make his day too. I'm not gonna make his life too easy here. It's very close to Scream 2. I feel like I could almost interchange these. I feel like for me, I don't know, because the things I dislike about 4, I kind of also dislike about 2.
Interesting.
And I do think Scream 4 does a lot of things better than Scream. Not a lot. I think it does a fair amount better than Scream 2. But Scream 2 has the advantage of still feeling pretty fresh, I think.
Okay.
I think I just think it's very hard at this point to have a 4th sequel and still manage to keep it fresh. But I think they do a decent job at doing that, even if it's like, because they play into the remakes now, the remake rules. I think, right? That's like what kind of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's also a huge problem for me with Scream 4 that a lot of people agree with that I don't see happening in Scream 2. It's just like a very distracting thing, which everyone knows probably what I'm going to say, but just the overall look is just, I don't know what they're really thinking doing that. It looks like just a filter splattered on it, not even like, I don't know. But a huge strength for Scream 4. I don't really want to jump. I'm not gonna really jump across plot. I'm just trying to think of like main things I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Scream 4 maybe does the best job at staying relevant for so long, minus the first one. It's very like 2011. It feels very not ahead, but like very like close to ahead of its time.
Yes.
So I don't know. It just seems like they got ahead of the curve. And that seems shocking for a Scream 4 movie to like really get into that. So that's a huge strength for me for Scream 4 that I don't think any sequel really touches.
So 100% agree. And I am so fucking happy that you brought that up, because that is one of my go-to argument points when I try to highlight this as the best Scream sequel.
Yeah.
And I agree with both your main criticism and that point that you just highlighted about it being ahead of its time, because 100% agree. That very shiny MTV reality TV look that they get with the cinematography in the film that really makes it look like Vaseline was just rubbed all over the camera lens, absolutely disgusting. I think that there's a couple of scenes where it's okay, and it's usually if it's taking place at nighttime, or
is it those
if
warmer
they're
like golden scenes, like the barn and stuff like that? Yeah.
So when they're either basically any scene that takes place at night, when it's outside or when they're in some interior that has some warmer lighting, less kind of what is it called? Fluorescent? Would fluorescent be like the really bright white light?
Yeah,
like the very artificial,
or like LED, like fluorescent's
LED.
like because fluorescent's
That's
like
what I'm
very
thinking of.
ugly. It's like green almost.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm thinking of, like that LED hospital type lighting. That then the look of the film is disgusting, and especially when you're shown scenes in broad daylight in this movie, or if they're in like an interior scene that is lit by that sort of LED or even just like sunlight, it looks gross, it looks disgusting. Fully agree there. But also, I don't want to diminish the second point you made. This film in 2011 was so ahead of the time, and we can't really talk about it yet because we're trying to talk about these films a little bit more chronologically than we have in the past. So we will get to it towards the end of the film when the killer/killers motives are revealed, but I think they are so ahead of the curve. And like you said, it is something that other Scream movies are just not able to do outside of the first one, is remain relevant years after their release. Because again, 2011, and Scream 4 was able to call shit that is happening now 15 years later. So that is super impressive in my opinion. But let's jump into the plot, and then we can kind of, talk about scenes as they unfold. So guys, if you're new here, I know we've gotten a few new viewers recently to this podcast and listeners. And if you're coming to us from TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, thanks for joining us. We're glad to have you here. And yeah, listen to the whole episodes. They're a lot of fun. We talk about the entire movies. Our clips and our shorts are fun. They're fun to make, and it's fun to get like a little glimpse. But hey, check out the whole thing and listen to the whole thing. We're anywhere you get your podcasts: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. So definitely check us out. But let's get into the plot, starting out with a very, very divisive part of this movie, and that is the opening scene. Now, brief summarization, you get the opening of two different Stab movies, both Stab 6 and Stab 7 as your fake opening. We are used to the opening scenes of these films being big name stars, being the opening kill. So in the first film, you have Drew Barrymore. In the second one, you have Jada Pinkett Smith. Scream 3 kind of moves in a different direction and instead kills Cotton Weary, a character that's important not outside of the world of these movies, but inside the universe of Scream. And Scream 4, it kind of does what the original did in a sense, because you start out by killing, I believe it's Lucy Hale and Shanae Grimes. So 2 actresses that were a part of pretty big CW shows, Pretty Little Liars and Beverly Hills 90210. They're the opening kills, and you learn that it's just the opening of Stab. And then you cut in on, I believe it's Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell, even bigger name stars. And Kristen Bell stabs Anna Paquin in the stomach because she talks too much. And then it cuts away, and you realize that it's the opening of Stab 7 or whatever. I might have gotten those kind of reversed. But then you cue in on our actual girls, Marnie, and I think the other girl's name is Julie, I believe. Julie and Marnie. Either way, it's Jenny yeah. And Marnie, and my apologies. Any Friday Night Lights fans out there, you'll recognize Amy Teagarden as Jenny. And I love this opening scene. I know it's very divisive in the Scream community. I understand that it's over the top and it's a little goofy. It maybe is a little too meta, a little too comedic. And I know that was a criticism that I had in Scream 3. It was one of my biggest criticisms of that movie. But when it comes to Scream 4, I think their approach to tone and atmosphere and going back to more horror roots, like in the original Scream, I think all of that kind of overpowers the comedy to where I can just sit back and laugh and enjoy this opening scene. But I'm very curious how you feel about it, because I know it's kind of split. Some people love the opening of 4. Some people hate it. And I totally get hating it. I get thinking that it's ridiculous and stupid and cheesy. But I'm just curious how you feel.
So I enjoy the opening from an enjoyment standpoint. I don't really care for it if I'm like trying to like grade the movie. This is something I liked. I remember this is one of the things I really liked when I first saw it. I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, oh, this is fun. This is different a little bit. But I don't know if it would have helped if you just did one fake out. I think the second fake out really, like, I got bored then, because I was like, okay, we're taking too much time here. And now I don't feel as fulfilled or satisfied with like the actual opening. I think you cut that time, and those are the fun parts of Scream, is the opening. And when I feel like half that time is spent just trying to like fake me out just because you need to keep it fresh, it feels like you might have ran out of ideas a little too much in that. I appreciate the first fake. The second fake kind of pisses me off a little bit. And I don't care. I don't really care for the 2 leads in this one. It's Marnie's the one, the older sister, right? Or not sister. They're friends. They're friends.
Yeah, they're just
but
friends.
She kind of looks older, but she's the longer hair one, the one that like makes it to the end of it.
No,
is that Marnie or is that Jenny?
No, Jenny is the girl that like is giving the kind of backstory of the Stab movies. Okay. Marnie is the one who gets killed first. I only remember that because of Ghostface's line when he's talking to Jenny, and he says something. I wrote it down in my notes, and I don't want to. Oh, he says 2 lines that I love. Marnie's part got cut way back, and also she's on the cutting room floor, which I think are funny. But.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't think they're that good in this opening. I don't really care for them.
They are not but I do think that this film has, and I'll highlight it in a scene later, one of the best scenes in the movie. This has my favorite Ghostface lines in any Scream movie outside of the first film, and it's not even close.
In the opening or in the movie?
No, just like throughout the entirety of the film.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll get to like my main favorite lines a little bit later, but. Either way, yeah, I see. I totally get where you're coming from, thinking that like for me, I appreciate the commitment to the bit. I think if you only did it once, I don't think it would have been as effective for me. I love that they do it twice. I think I would have been fine if they did it a third time. I don't know why. I don't know why, Josh. I really don't. It just works for me. I think it's a fun way to start the movie, and not just like fun in a way where it's like, oh yeah, Cat in the Hat is fun, but it's still a terrible fucking nightmare-fueled movie. I mean fun in the way that I think it's I don't want to say clever, because that's giving the film too much credit and giving Kevin Williamson too much credit, but I just think it's I think it's something we haven't seen before in Scream.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting way to open up the movie. And I also just think it's kind of fun to see a little bit more of the Stab universe and the Stab movies. Like we highlighted in Scream 2 how just seeing those little clips are some of the funnier and more memorable parts of the movie. And I just like seeing a little bit more of Stab, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that's fair. It's definitely fun. Like it's not, I'm not bored during it, I guess. So it's fine. It's fine. It's not like awful. I just
so you're a little like kind of lukewarm.
Yeah,
neutral
yeah.
on
I
it.
mean,
that's fair.
I guess I like it more than the Scream 3 opening.
What about Scream 2? Because I like it more than Scream 2.
Scream 2 has like one part that I really don't like that like kind of ruins it, but I still like the entire build up to it. It's like, would I like it more if she just died a different way in the beginning? Probably. So I think I probably like the Scream 2 opening a little bit more. Just because I appreciate a different setting. And that's what I said with Scream 3, I think could have been a strength is just setting it in a scene that's relevant to the plot. Scream 2 felt very relevant because now the Stab movies are coming out. It's a very like fitting opening. This is kind of like just tracing back to the first, which I'm okay with because I'm going to talk about it in Scream 5 when we get to it. But yeah, I don't mind like that's okay because it's also playing on like remakes and stuff like that, so it fits.
Yeah.
I did want to at some point before you say what line you really like from Ghostface, I wanted to guess what it was, but I don't know if I should guess now.
I feel like I've told you it in the past, but yeah,
really?
give it a guess.
Is it the eyelids one?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that actually might be my favorite Ghostface line. Period. I know it's not as iconic as the "I'm gonna gut you like a fish" or "I want to know who I'm looking at," but there's something about Ghostface in this movie and it's so fucking sick and twisted, and that's what I love about this movie, and that's why to me it's not even a contest between Scream 2 and Scream 4 because the Ghostface that we get in this film is just so much more vicious and brutal and not only in the kills but in the lines and the vulgarity. Like this is like a modern, more sick and twisted Ghostface, and I just love that aspect. But yeah, so let's move on from the opening scene. But before that, I just wanted to highlight there is an alternate opening scene to where everything plays out the exact same, except the kill is the kill of Jenny is a lot more brutal. It's a lot more vicious. And originally, Dewey and Deputy Hicks arrive at the house and they find the bodies. And I think What's Your Favorite Scary Movie is written in blood on the wall of the garage. But I might
have liked that more.
Yeah, well, so apparently they cut it because they wanted to save the real like jaw-dropping, shocking kill for the first like real kill of the movie. Not that these aren't like real kills, but they wanted to save that like jaw-dropping moment for later on in the film. They didn't want to blow their load too early, supposedly. So I guess that's kind of interesting. And I think I've talked about it in the past before, but if you have too strong of an opening and you don't follow up on it and surpass it, I think that can be a problem. And I always look back to Suspiria, the original, because I think the opening kill of that movie is 10 out of 10 fantastic, and they never quite get that vicious again in the film, if that makes any sense. But yeah. So moving on from the opening scene, we kind of get our little introduction to who will be essentially our new protagonist that they're setting up, which is Emma Roberts as Sidney's cousin, Jill Roberts. Her mom had a sister. Sister obviously has a daughter, and Sidney is related to her. And you kind of meet her little group of friends. Oh my gosh, I don't even think I said Hayden Panettiere in my opening cast rundown. Wikipedia is like so fucked or not Wikipedia, Google, because I read off the cast that they listed and I don't think she was there. But either way, Hayden Panettiere plays Kirby. I don't want to be juvenile, but Hayden Panettiere in Scream 4 is just... She actually looks like a Greek goddess at points in this film. Her. You really like her. Like, she's like actually, I think, perfect looking in this movie, like flawless. Like I don't think there's a single flaw in her like timeless beauty in this film. But just had to highlight that. But you meet Kirby, played by Hayden Panettiere, and you meet their other friend, Olivia. And through a little bit of dialogue, you kind of just get a little bit of information that Jill has recently broken up with her boyfriend, Trevor. And if you pay close attention to the opening scene, when Jenny, who's played by Amy Teagarden, our two opening kills, when Jenny gets the Ghostface call, she asks, "Is this Trevor?" So little kind of hint at who Trevor cheated on Jill with in the film. But they get these Ghostface lines.
I did not
think
catch
it's
that.
Yeah. So she says Trevor when she gets the first phone call. So I think that's always an interesting little kind of Easter egg, little kind of detail that they squeeze in there. But you meet our friends. Kirby drives real fast and flies by a cop to where you realize that Dewey has been promoted. Dewey is the sheriff of Woodsboro now, and you know this because the word sheriff is all over his car. On the top, on the sides, on the front. It's everywhere. But yeah, so Dewey is the sheriff now. And then you check in on Sidney, and you find out that Sidney has written this book, Out of Darkness, and it's a self-help book about facing your trauma, facing your fears, moving past it, and living your life to its fullest potential. And she's back in Woodsboro, and in a deleted scene, you would find out that Dewey would have told Gale that in the time between Scream 3 and Scream 4, that Sidney's father, Neil, has passed away, and that she has not been back to Woodsboro since the passing of her father. So this is the first time that Sidney is seemingly returning back to Woodsboro. She seems pretty well adjusted. Again, Woodsboro, town of desensitized little shits. They are hanging a bunch of Ghostface costumes on the lights and the street lights throughout Woodsboro, which is psychotic, but Sidney seems very well adjusted. She's fine with it. She realizes it's the anniversary and whatnot, and either way, she's there to promote her book.
I just have to go back, since you just did a little quote from Principal Himbry. We never talked about it. There's a moment in Scream 1. He's creepy. He's very creepy when they're talking to Sid in his office. He does this little stroke of her face. And I was like, whoa. I never caught that before.
Yeah, I forgot. So,
dude, that's like,
because we glossed over that scene, but right after the murders, the opening murders of Casey and Steve in that movie, every student is like being called into the office to answer questions from the police, and Sidney is called in, and
he does this. He just does.
He touches her face. Speaking of Principal Himbry, I don't know if you caught it. There is a statue of Principal Himbry, Henry Winkler, in this movie.
No,
and
there's
it is
not.
It's a very brief shot when you first enter Woodsboro High in this movie. It starts on a shot of Principal Himbry's golden statue, and then kind of like the camera moves away from it. But I had never caught it until this viewing, and I thought it was so funny because it's just Henry Winkler. Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny.
He looks disgusting.
I want it. I want that in my living room.
Ew.
For anyone not watching the visuals, we upload the video to all platforms. If you're not watching, please switch to video and check out what Josh just showed on his phone, because it is horrifying to
What
look
is this
at.
profile? What is that? What in the hell?
It's so absurd.
I'm mad I never caught that. I can't wait to go back and just look at that. Is it shown more than once?
No, it's only in the one shot.
Ew.
I think it's in the shot that you just pulled up.
That was
It's like this-
disgusting. That was grosser than like any kill in the movie. And that's nothing against you, Henry. It's they did you a disservice on this bust. Ew.
Oh shit. Oh, that's
All
one of
right.
the hardest I've laughed in a while on this show.
All right.
Either way, you also find out that Allison Brie is Sidney's publicist or agent. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, she's there to do a book signing, and you hear her talking, and you also check in on Gale and Dewey. They are happily married now in the movie, because in real life they were currently going through a legal separation.
Yeah, how long did that go? Because I looked up when they got divorced, and it was like 2013. But were they in the process at this time?
Yeah,
12?
so I think
okay.
from what I understand, they filed for separation in 2010, and then in 2012 officially were divorced. Supposedly, according to cast and crew on the set of Scream 4, I guess there was a smidge of tension, but they otherwise remained extremely professional. And I checked out a couple behind the scenes clips of this movie, and it seems like they were very cordial and you know whatnot, but. Who knows?
Sucks.
Maybe that plays into why, like, maybe if they were doing better in real life, maybe the script would have been a little bit different and they would have been more on the same level, because a huge part of this film is that Gale and Dewey are on very opposite sides of things, because now that Dewey is the sheriff of the town, he feels like he has more responsibility, and once the killings start, big part of this movie, character-wise, is that he doesn't want to let Gale help in the investigation. And she does bring up that she helped solve this 3 times, and I would like to highlight that Gale has never once helped solve these murders. In every single one of these movies, the killers reveal themselves before Gale even gets there.
Yeah,
in the third movie, in literally the previous one, Sidney takes care of everything. Gale and Dewey burst through the door, and she has a genuine response, which is, "It was Roman?" So
well, the second one too, she has a very similar. She like looks at Mrs. Loomis. What?
Well, she gets caught. Like at one point in Scream 2, it's led to believe like Gale is the first one to walk in through the doors, and Sidney has this reaction like, "Gale, like you're the killer," and then Gale like shakes her head.
I love how Mrs. Loomis pops out. She like the way she pops out with the gun, like with a little smirk, like I gotcha.
Yeah. Quick side note, I would like to highlight, I rewatched Randy's death multiple times. It is very believable. I think the way
You're sick.
No, Josh, I'm telling you, rewatch it. The way we talked about it is like he flies into the
It looks
van.
like that.
He doesn't, though. If you really watch it, he is like standing right next to the van, and he just gets pulled backwards. And I am very...
You gotta pull him up.
No.
Ain't no way Mrs. Loomis's old bones are pulling,
She's
yanking
like
him up.
maybe early 40s.
Yeah, those are old bones.
Okay, well, no, I'm telling you, if you
Have
watch
you seen people our age now complain about their joints and bones? They're like,
yeah,
I'm
one
you.
of them. I'm one. Yeah, my knees hurt literally right now. But either way, very believable. I just wanted to say, because we kind of said that it like we joked around and poked fun. I buy into that death now. In the way it's more believable now, having rewatched it a couple of times.
Then it's a better movie. That might be better than Scream 4.
It is not. It is not. Because Scream 4 doesn't have a fucking scene of Timothy Olyphant yelling, "Billy's mother."
You got me there.
It also doesn't
stinks.
have a scene of fucking no character in this movie does a song and dance number in the middle of a fucking cafeteria.
First off, those are pluses. Those are so funny.
Really?
Billy's mother is so funny. I didn't even think that's a problem. That's not like
hilarious. But let's move forward. Let's speed things up. Let's move forward to one of my favorite. I didn't really get to it, but Sidney's book signing is interrupted by Dewey and Deputy Hicks showing up at the scene. And I didn't highlight, but Deputy Hicks, Marley Sheldon, I forget her last name. It is Wendy Peppercorn from The Sandlot. A lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The one that Squints makes out with at the pool.
Yeah.
After he
I like
fakes
Judy.
drowning.
I like Judy.
She's See, I was worried that you wouldn't, because I thought you were going to view her in the same way as Angelina, and I wanted to highlight it in Scream 3, but I did want to say that in Scream 4, I think that they do a Angelina type character, but a lot better, and it is Judy Hicks. But
she is on my list. I have a nice little list here of some red herring issues in this one. I think it's weak in this movie. I think it's fairly weak.
Couldn't disagree more. I think the red herrings are easily the best in this that they've been since the original. I
They're
genuinely love the
they're
cast
probably-
in this movie.
They're probably better, but I think the sequels are all doing like a pretty bad job of like
No,
being
can't
of
agree.
being subtle. Yeah. Judy's one of
agree.
them. Yeah, let's really surround her in darkness and have her a very eerie scene of
I'm
her
fine
like
with it. I think it's an extremely
it's
well
weird.
directed scene.
It's weird. I think it's weird. I think it's like too obvious. It's too obvious where you it's not even I'm suspecting everyone. I'm writing people off kind of immediately. And I think that's my problem. Is like
That's fine.
I think I'm eliminating these people too early. Like Rebecca, the reporter, and mostly because it's like they lean into stuff that they've already done. So Rebecca is kind of like the Debbie Salt, where it's like they're not. I personally just don't think they're going to do it again. Trevor's really bad. I think Trevor's a really bad red herring in this. I don't like Trevor. I hate Trevor.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
how
fine.
you feel about Trevor, but
No, I Josh, I'm gonna go out and say I like and enjoy every single side character in this movie.
wow.
There's not a single supporting cast member in this that I do not enjoy. And
wow.
let's
I don't know why
move.
you like Trevor.
I'll get to it, but let's move a little bit more through the plot. But the last thing I wanted to mention by that scene is Sidney's book signing does get interrupted as her car becomes a crime scene. They find a bunch of blood and a bloodied knife in the back of Sidney's car. She is now a suspect and is not allowed to leave the state, to which I wrote in my notes, she's a victim of 3 mass murders. Maybe just let her leave. Maybe just allow her to get out of here at this point. I don't care if she's a suspect. I know that's not the law, but like Sidney has gone through enough. Please let her leave. Either way, let's cut to my favorite part of this movie. One of my favorite scenes. It has possibly the best kill in the movie. It has easily my favorite Ghostface line in the movie, and it is the Olivia scene. So I think the setup is great. Essentially, you have Kirby and Jill watching Shaun of the Dead in... I don't know if they're... Hey, I didn't even realize. That is 10 out of 10, buddy. Thank you. For anyone just listening and not watching, Josh did a visual gag. He is wearing a Shaun of the Dead shirt, which I think is awesome. That's great. But yes, Jill and Kirby are watching Shaun of the Dead, and I think they're at Jill's house. Right?
Yeah.
They're at Jill's house. Then their friend Olivia comes home, and they ask her if she wants to come over, and Olivia is very, very stuck on the fact that Sidney is the angel of death, and everywhere that Sidney goes, people die, everybody except Sidney. And which is very understandable, and I totally get why Olivia wouldn't want to hang around there. But you find out that Olivia lives right across the street from Jill. She goes into her house, and this is when Kirby and Jill get a Ghostface call. And I think the whole setup of this scene is great. You get a little bit of back and forth. Again, they still think that it's Trevor on the phone, and Ghostface says, "I'm in the closet." And in the scene, it's great because Ghostface is talking very quietly, and Kirby's like, "You're not in the closet," goes and checks, and he says, "I never said I was in your closet." Cut to across the street, Ghostface busts out of Olivia's closet and proceeds to quite possibly have the most brutal and vicious kill and murder that we have seen in this series up to this point. It is a clear, obvious homage to the original Nightmare on Elm Street when Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed and the blood squirts all over the room. Because when Sidney gets wind of this and rushes over to check out the whole crime scene...
Dude, she gets a new paint job.
Oh my God. Every single inch of that room is covered in blood. Olivia's guts are spilled out onto the fucking bed. A little homage to Steve in the first Scream. Oh my... before I highlight the line... Like I don't know. What do you have any thoughts on this scene or?
No, I think it's a great scene. No, I think it's, and I think it's a very like cozy scene. They got Shaun of the Dead on. I like that you like really, you get like a nice mood going here, and I do like the little surprise. Yeah, that's a good surprise when you're building the tension of her approaching the closet. I remember that part was in one of the trailers. Not him coming out of the closet. I don't think, but I remember when she like opens the closet. That was like I think advertised in the trailers. But yeah, that's a good scene.
Yeah. Her kill is fantastic. Stabs her multiple times, rips out her guts. pushes her through the fucking window as Jill and Kirby are watching from across the street. It is just all around, to me, it is a 10 out of 10 horror scene. It is a 10 out of 10 just kill in the movie. And then Sidney gets a call from Ghostface, and it is some of the best Ghostface we've had since the original. I agree, the opening of the movie didn't really have the best Ghostface lines. I like a couple of his lines. Again, I highlighted the whole Marnie's part got cut way back. She ended up on the cutting room floor. I like that stuff. There's a great little bit when he's talking to Jenny where he's like, "You're the blonde with the big tits," and calls her stupid or something, and she's like, "Excuse me, asshole, I have a 4.0 GPA," or something. I think that's like a nice little exchange. But his line to Sidney in this, he says, "I'm going to slit your eyelids in half so you can't blink when I stab you in the face."
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't want to go too forward in the plot, but I am going to spoil this part. Doesn't even attempt to follow through with that line. It's a good line. You should have attempted. All bark, no bite right there, Ghostface. All bark. Follow through with your shit if you're going to make those vicious promises.
Yeah,
but anyway,
no,
yeah,
understandable.
Good line.
I think that is a great line. There's another one that I will highlight in the parking garage a little bit later that I think is excellent, but excellent scene all around, 10 out of 10. And for me, again, just highlighting why I think this movie is a lot better than 2 and 3. There is not a single scene in 2 or 3 that ever comes close to matching the intensity and brutality of the Olivia kill. So just had to highlight that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you don't see it, you just hear it, but like the Steve kill is very like brutal for like the opening kill. Like seeing like the aftermath of it. But
yeah, and to me, Olivia's is just like a fucking advanced version of Steve's.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see her stabbing her in the stomach, you see just her guts hanging out on the bed. It is just horrifying. But either way, before the scene ends, Sidney gets attacked by Ghostface and cuts Jill, and Trevor shows up, very similar to Billy showing up in the first movie. So we're getting a lot of Billy Loomis shades with the character of Trevor. So, and that's part of why he works for me as a red herring, is because in a film that is kind of satirizing and poking fun at the idea of horror remakes and making a modern version of a horror film, I think that like painting Trevor as this red herring and having motives for him as a killer, I think work.
I personally I just don't like him. He just bothers me every time he's on the screen. He annoys me.
Really? He has a really funny scene in Kirby's house at the end.
Oh, I was going to say, I do kind of laugh when Robbie says, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And he says, "I'll show you."
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Isn't that great? Dude, come on, though. I'm not going to jump too far ahead, but his reaction to what's going on with Charlie and Kirby in the house towards the end, that's funny. That's like genuinely funny.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's like read the fucking room, man. It's like it's unbelievable.
It's just like the most genuine reaction though. Like he's like, holy shit.
He's so into the movie. He's like not even he's so oblivious to like what's happening. But you know, there's a part in it that really bothers me, and it's when I really get mad at the red herring for Trevor. I'm okay with you painting him because it works. So like you said, for the remake, it's like okay, I'm not entirely writing Trevor off, although I kind of am. But I think in reference to the movie and like maybe like your general audience, not that I'm like just other audience members watching this, he kind of works as like a possible suspect. But dude, the film club scene, which I like that scene a lot.
Okay, you do like it. I was worried you weren't going to enjoy it, but
I like Robbie and Charlie. So anytime I can get them on screen, I really do like them a lot. I love Robbie.
Did you recognize him?
Who is he?
He is
No, I don't know.
He is what's Mark Wahlberg's brother's name? Donnie. He is Donnie Wahlberg's son in Saw 2.
Oh yeah.
He's
wow.
the kid. Yeah. He's also in Edgar Wright, Scott Pilgrim. He's in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You haven't seen it. You're such a piece of shit.
Still haven't seen it.
I like Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors.
Easy.
Asshole.
But in that scene, this is what really pisses me off. I'm pretty sure they cut to Trevor 3 or 4 times. Don't know why he looks so pissed off, but it's just like a very evil look he's giving. I forget if he's looking at Sidney or Kirby. He's just staring, and it keeps cutting to him. I'm pretty sure like up to 4 times, and I'm like,
it's interesting because I think they are honing in on him
because he's not talking either. He's not talking. It's just he's randomly cut to when they're just talking about like movies.
One element of this movie that we didn't really address is that Robbie is always live streaming, and he is in this scene. He's live streaming because Sidney asked him like, "What? You just like upload your entire high school experience to the?" She calls it the net, which really bothers me because it's like 2011. Like, just call it the internet, or I don't know. It's just a weird abbreviation. But either way, in that scene, Robbie is the one who keeps fixating on Trevor, and that's why I think it works. If it was a normal camera angle and it's just like the movie itself is fixating on him, I think that it would be more distracting. But because it's Robbie who clearly has it's Robbie as he's filming with his headset, he's the one who keeps fixating on Trevor, and
it's
so
not
in
like
that
his
regards,
footage that it shows. It's like a normal camera shot.
Maybe I'm just thinking at first, because I know when
he does do that. I know, yeah.
When they're first bringing up like the killer in this movie is probably filming the kills himself.
Yes,
that he turns over and he's hyper fixating on Trevor.
But I think just the movie cuts to him. It's just a normal shot of like him, and I'm like, it's just too much. If you got to him once, fine, but I just think they need to follow in how they did it with Billy. If you're gonna like follow, and I don't know, I just think for me it's a little just too on the nose. I think Kirby is a great red herring because
Kirby is
nothing feels obvious with her. It's so like towing that line of just like uncertainty. I think.
What's cool about Kirby is that she is like the almost inverse of Randy, where Randy is like super obnoxious and in your face about his movie buff knowledge.
She's a great Kirby, Randy, but like a revised version of Randy.
She's a better character than Randy because Kirby acts like a. She is. Kirby's a normal fucking person. She's not screaming about prom night in the middle of a fucking video store like a total fucking dweeb. She is like cool and relaxed about it, and like she can trivia your ass under the table, but she's not going to be. No, they're not.
I want a nerd. I want a nerd.
Nope. I'll take the cool, sexy Kirby over the dweeb that is Randy. Jokes aside, I do love Randy as a character, but Kirby's like an updated version. But let's move on to another scene that I absolutely love, and kind of moving down the plot a little bit. What I do like though is after Jill is attacked and Trevor shows up, and then obviously the police arrive and everything, and you get a cute little scene where Dewey's asking Anthony Anderson and Adam Brody, who are like the deputies in this movie, asking them what happened, and they're like, well, we ran around the house and then we ran into each other, which I think is great. Side note, I do really enjoy Adam Brody and Anthony Anderson in this movie because they're like, because they're
like nothing to me. I think they try to be a little something, but their like car scene together doesn't do it for me. I don't know.
I think it's fine because it's a very small scene. They have just enough comedic value.
Oh yeah, I'd be mad if they were focused on more.
Exactly. I think they have just the right amount of screen time in this movie. But either way, what I do like is that you have this scene where Jill is kind of like, Sidney goes to help Jill, and Jill's like, no, stay away from me. You really are the angel of death. And just it's really starting to like weigh on Sidney and like hit her that like everywhere she goes, this shit follows her, and it's starting to like take its toll. So I do really enjoy that element. But either way, moving on to the hospital scene. So you get to the hospital, and Allison Brie at this point, Sidney's publicist, is like really badgering Sidney about doing all of this press for the book, and she has all these deals lined up for 3 more books, and she's got like The View and all these different talk shows lined up and everything, and Sidney is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like a young teenage girl just died. 3 teenagers have died so far, essentially. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, the tour is canceled. And Allison Brie like it's not like clicking with her, and Sidney fires her. We get a nice little scene with Allison Brie where she goes into the elevator. She goes up. She gets a call. Obviously, it's Ghostface, and you get this great parking garage scene. But before that, you get one of my favorite Ghostface lines again in this movie, and it is, Allison Brie's on the phone, and Ghostface is trying to get in touch with Sidney, and Allison Brie says, "Oh, I'm taking all of her calls. Can you leave a message?" And Ghostface just says, "You are the message." And I think that is such a simple yet effective line, because it is exactly that. Like, she is the message. Every time Ghostface is killing somebody close to Sidney, it is a message to Sidney. And I just love that Ghostface is addressing in it. And then from there, you get what I think is a very suspenseful, very well-directed and shot and edited scene of suspense with the whole parking garage scene. I understand that there's a little bit of, like, logical fallacies with, like, oh, why would she get out of the car and try to run? Yeah. But again, like, I'm going to justify a lot of these scenes in these movies as I've never been in a situation where a killer with a knife is trying to kill me. So, yes, it's easy in hindsight from the comfort of my home to point at it and be like, this is what I would have done, and I would have done this, this, and this, and I wouldn't have done that. But in the moment, you're scared, you're frightened, you're not thinking the most rational. Either way, she goes to her car, and Ghostface is trying to get into the car and attack her and everything. She makes a run, books it for the elevator, and this scene actually terrifies me. Like, this scene actually scares me, like, fundamentally.
No, it doesn't.
No, Josh, it does. It is because the way it's shot and edited, the second she gets to the elevator, she turns around and Ghostface is sprinting at her, and just
that'd be terrifying if you were her.
Exactly. Like,
oh my God.
There's not a lot of times where we see Ghostface like this in the last 4 movies, but he is just the way that the second that she turns around and the camera turns around with her and you see her POV, and Ghostface is like 4 feet away from her. It is just, to me, a very well executed scene. I love it. Not sure how you feel, but
no, it's good. No, I have no problem with the scene. I didn't care for her that much, so I'm kind of glad we got her kind of like out of the way a little bit. But,
I love Allison Brie, so I think she's good in this.
Yeah, she's all right. I want to go to the barn scene because there's a couple that's like another big scene.
Let's get to the barn scene in 1 second. I just want to highlight another element. It's like immediately right after Allison Brie is killed, but you essentially, you cut to, and this just adds to it in my opinion, because this is the biggest fuck you to the police that I've ever seen in a movie. But it cuts to outside, and Dewey is holding a press conference talking about the recent series of murders. And it cuts to the audience who's outside, the reporters and everything. It cuts to a shot of them, and they have this reaction like they're looking up, and you just see Allison Brie's body get yeeted from the roof and just hit the news van and land directly on the news van, and her body just splatters. And it is awesome, and I love it. Either way, yes. If you want to skip ahead, we can get to the
Where do you think they
barn
went?
Scene.
Where do you think that Ghostface went in the hospital?
I mean, it's well, if they're in the parking garage and they throw her from like the roof, I'm sure there's like, it's a hospital, so I'm sure there's like multiple exits. And if they're quick about it, and also like something that's been highlighted in some of the Scream communities that I've been a part of recently, it's just a cloak. So it is very easy to take off. Like, it's very easy to remove and everything. So it's very possible that they just took the whole costume off, put it in a bag, and then slipped out of the back of the hospital. At least for me, it's a believable escape. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering because like once you take it off, now you're revealed. And what if one person sees you? It's like, oh, what are you doing at here?
Yeah. No, it's yeah. There's definitely some issues in this film about like where Ghostface is and like who Ghostface inevitably is. But do you want to set the stage for the barn scene, or do you want me to get into it?
So in the film club, Charlie and Robbie are telling Sid about the stabathon that they're having, watching all 7. Is that what they're at? 7 stab movies?
Yeah, that's 14 hours of movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So you could, I think it's a great setup. I think it's a new type of setting. It kind of reminds me of Scream 2 without any like cheesy deaths that kind of ruin the scene. So I think you have this very just cozy setting. I don't mind the filter as much in this scene. I don't mind the warmth of the barn that it shows. But yeah, so they're hosting the Sabathon. I've seen people say that this scene kind of like bothers them because it's just like, I get teens are stupid, but like these are real life events that have happened 3 times already, a 4th now. Why are we going to a secluded barn doing the Stabathon when there is a killer actively like killing people on the loose right now? But yeah, so I think Gale wants to go, right? She doesn't get the invite from them.
Yeah.
But
and then we never find out how she gets the information.
I guess she just gets it from Kirby or someone like that. Like just one of the people.
I would like to I'd like to highlight that they say that it's like extremely exclusive, invite only when they're in the film club scene, and then when you actually see the Stabathon, there's like 100 fucking people.
Yeah,
there.
like that film club had like 20 people in it, and there's like your entire class is there. But,
I would like to say that in high school, I would have killed for there to be like a cinema club. Like I would have killed to meet
I thought you were gonna say
people.
I would have killed for like a barn, like theater experience get together.
No, but I
party.
will say rewatching Scream 4 made me actually think about throwing something like a Screamathon and inviting a couple of our mutual friends over who I know love movies as well, and just trying to like watch all the Scream movies in one day.
That's fun.
Get some beer, get some snacks, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like a great scene. It has probably the funniest part in the movie to me. It might be the funniest, not the funniest in the whole franchise, but I crack up every time it happens. So they're watching the opening scene of the first stab, Heather Graham and everything, and she's showering and the phone rings, but you hear the audience just like yelling and like screaming at the TV like juveniles, like horny teenage kids, like they're like yeah, take off the robe, yeah, show it to me, stuff like that. And then like she gets the phone and she grabs her clothes, and you just hear the one guy just go, no. He just screams no, and it's I haven't stopped cracking up at that every time I see that part. It's like I thought
you were gonna bring up when Gale enters the party. She's got the Ghostface mask on to blend in, and she starts dancing.
That's pretty good.
She just starts like shaking her shoulders.
That is
so
good.
Funny.
But yeah, dude, that I don't know. It's like it's so intense how he says no. Oh my god, I don't know if you remember that much.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
dude.
Well, what I think is always funny about that part too is it's not just like the teenage guys who are hooting and hollering for her to take off her clothes. The girls who are there too are also chiming in and are also like wanting her to take her clothes off. Yeah.
So, so we get like Gale kind of like doing the same thing she did in the first one, which I like, just setting up like her own like camera to watch over, and then Dewey gets there. I guess he goes to her car or something like that, and he sees like the setup, and I like that you start seeing the like the 4 camera angles just go. You see like them drape over with black. That's a really good part, and I love that he picks it up and like looks at him. I think it's just a really nice build to this already like great setup, and I love that this one, it raises the stakes where it's like it's not really killing off to people, but you are now believing everyone can die in this. And I like that when Gale gets attacked, I think they're like killing her off. So I like that you have that ramped up. Like I finally believe that like this is the end for our main cast, because it's a remake. We're like introducing this new crew. So yeah, I think it's just a really nice scene. I don't know what it is about the hay bales just all over the place. Like I don't know. It's just a great setting. It might be my favorite like sequence in the movie. Just because I don't know if it's just like the mood for me. It's just like a fun scene. I love the film club getting together, watching a marathon. Logistically, I don't like it, but whatever. I don't care. It's fun. It's a good time. But yeah. So kind of like an emotional scene. She gets stabbed
in the shoulder. Important to highlight for what we'll talk about a little bit later. But she gets stabbed.
I'm trying
in the
to remember
shoulder.
how it stops. How does like stabs her once? Is the scene interrupted? I forget why.
He stabs her in the shoulder. They get into a little kind of tussle, and she's able to kind of knock Ghostface over, and she rolls off she's like on an elevated surface. She's able to roll off. This is when Dewey enters the party, sees Ghostface up on the balcony area, and again, Dewey being the worst shot of all time, which again will lend to a scene that we will talk about in Scream 5, aka 5 when we get to 5 there's a scene that we will talk about that a lot of people have issues with, and I had issues with it up until rewatching these, because Dewey is the worst shot of all time, misses Ghostface a couple of times, and goes and checks on Gale. And this is there anything else that you wanted to highlight in that scene, or yeah?
No, I could talk about logistics, but we're not there of like who the killers are yet, so can't really talk about it. But
yeah, so that's totally fair. But moving on from that, the last thing is we see Kirby leaving the party, and she has this little moment with Charlie and Robbie where she's talking. She's clearly a little drunk. You can hear it in her voice, but she says like, "Oh, I'm impressed." A little bit impressed, but a little bit of flirtation with Charlie. And I think he says something like, "Nah, she wants me," or something, because it's very clear, and I don't think we really brought it up, but it's very clear from the first scene that we are introduced to all these characters that Charlie, Rory Culkin's character, has a very, very big crush on Hayden Panettiere. Because who wouldn't? I'd be in love with her. If
Jake
I went
is
to
pretty
high
much
school with
Charlie
her.
in this movie. Jake is Charlie. Head of the cinema club, obsessed with Hayden.
Well, let's reel that back a little bit. Let's reel back that comparison. Either way, we kind of cut back to Jill's house where Jill is supposed to be, but Sidney realizes that Jill has left the house. She checks her thing and realizes that Jill has escaped and is going to Kirby's place. And in this whole sequence, I don't really want to talk about this too much because I don't think there's a lot to highlight here, but Ghostface attacks. He kills both Anthony Anderson and Adam Brody in a pretty fucked up fashion, because he slits Adam Brody's throat and then proceeds to stab Anthony Anderson in the fucking forehead. And I think this is the first time in the series that we have seen somebody get stabbed in the fucking head. Like, it's pretty brutal.
I like it
pretty
until the end of
visceral
it.
to watch. I get that, and I get why people have issues with how it ends, but essentially Anthony Anderson gets up, walks a couple feet, very similar to what
swinging fist.
Yeah. Which, like, I mean, like, I guess makes sense. It's not unbelievable. I'm assuming you have an issue with what he says before he dies.
Oh yeah, I don't like that. I don't know what it's like to get stabbed in the brain. You probably have some like mobility still, like you have like
yeah.
So you're
this
probably
is
in
based
shock,
on,
I guess. I don't know.
It's loosely based on a true story. There was a guy who was stabbed in the head and was able to walk himself to a hospital, but he inevitably did die from brain trauma.
Yeah,
but,
I hate fuck Bruce Willis. I hate that.
Yeah, so Anthony Anderson gets up, starts like walking a couple feet. I actually like the shot itself because it's just Anthony Anderson like walking towards the camera. Meanwhile, Ghostface is just kind of watching from the back. And before he dies, does a couple swings in the air and says, "Fuck Bruce Willis," which alludes to an earlier scene where where Adam Brody and Anthony Anderson are discussing how cops always die in movies except for Bruce Willis. So, whatever. Anyway, Jill's mom and Sidney are attacked in the house. There's actually a pretty good scene of tension as Sidney walks outside and she's hearing the wind chimes and there's no music. It's just kind of there's just this ambiance in the background. You get the wind and the wind chimes blowing in the background. Pretty good suspenseful scene. Sidney finds out that obviously Anthony Anderson and Adam Brody are killed. Cut back to inside the house. She's freaking out. She's telling Jill's mom, like, Jill's gone. Like, we have to go find her. They get attacked by Ghostface, but they're able to shut the door on Ghostface. And Sidney, in that moment, she has Jill's mom, like barricade it from the bottom of it. And I actually think this kill is pretty tight. It's a little bit unique for the franchise, but Jill's mom gets stabbed through the mail slot in, I think, like the neck, back of the head area, and it kills her. And
I hate Jill's mom.
I don't think there's a reason.
She's bad.
She's
I think she's really bad in every scene she's in. I think she's really bad.
So
and
two
that's
scenes.
She's in more. I don't think you remember. She's in a few, but like she's in it more than like Anthony Anderson is, I think.
I don't know if I agree with that. She's
in,
in
like-
the scene. She's in the scene at the beginning when they're at the house before Olivia's killed, where she's talking about
Her
how
scars
she
and
has
stuff.
scars
Yeah.
too. And then this scene. I can't think of another
There's
scene.
definitely another scene. And maybe that's even worse because like this is the aunt mom. Maybe she should be a little bit more important to like keep the stakes high, keep the emotional like hit of the kill. The kill means nothing to me, I guess, and I feel like it should have a little bit more weight than that. But it doesn't feel
That's
like
fair.
anything to me.
Well, I think that was part of the rewrites. Is I think that character originally had a lot more presence in the actual film itself, but they were doing so many rewrites that the actress who originally was hired to play the role of Jill's mom, I think her name is Kate Roberts, she dropped out of the movie before filming because of the amount of rewrites. I believe it was Lauren Graham, who is from the Gilmore Girls. She's like the mom in that show. But either way, I get that. I just wanted to highlight it. Anyway, at the scene of the crime, again, Jill's mom is dead. Sidney's freaking out. And Deputy Hicks arrives on the scene. And this is the scene that I was talking about in Scream. I believe it was Scream 3. Yes, because we were talking about how we didn't like the scene where she's speaking dialogue out loud, harkening back to the original, when she's walking around the set and she's in her old bedroom and she hears Billy's dialogue and everything. And we talked about how she is a good enough actress that she can pull it off without having to speak the dialogue. And this is the scene that I was talking about in that episode, because you see that when Deputy Hicks is arriving on the scene and when she rushes over to check on Kate Roberts, you see the wheels in Sidney's head start turning, and you see, without her having to say a word, you see just through her facial acting that these wheels are turning inside of her head and that she is starting to suspect Judy Hicks, partially in turn because of a scene that Josh loosely brought up earlier in the film that we didn't really highlight, where Sidney and Deputy Hicks interact. Now, Josh isn't a fan of it, but I think it works for the film. I think it works for the character. I don't know. I just don't have the same problem that you do with these films building in these red herrings. I just don't. I think Deputy Hicks
It made me
is a
appreciate
good
the first one
character.
more because the first one's actually like subtle with it. I think framing your character in a dark hallway, you can't see her, you slowly bring her out to reveal who she is. It just feels too like, I don't know.
I think she's just a socially awkward character. The lights are already off in the house in the hallway. So it's not like I get what you're saying. It just doesn't hurt the film for me because, again, Josh,
it doesn't hurt the film. It hurts the red herring problem. It hurts the red herring
problem that you have, right?
Yes, but it's not like, oh, that hurts the entire movie. No, it's like it goes in tandem with like the rest of the red herrings. How I don't think they do as clever of a job in building them and like making you suspect everyone.
I think it's a creepy scene. I think it works for the film.
Yes, I agree. That's why I don't think it works, because it's a creepy scene for no reason.
So, guys, we are back. If you're watching the video, it's going to look a little weird. We spliced ourselves back in. I had to cut a huge portion of that conversation because it was just me and Josh arguing, going in circles about nothing. So, moving on.
Let's not talk about it.
Let's just move past it. Either way, I brought up the scene of Judy and Sidney because it's the scene early on, and it's starting to paint Judy in a very ominous light, maybe a little bit too much for somebody.
I like it.
I like it. Josh hates it. We're moving on. Either way, criticisms, praise aside, when Judy arrives on the scene, she's helping out Jill's mother, and this is when I was talking about a great scene where Neve Campbell is just using her face to act, and the wheels start turning in her head. She starts suspecting that maybe Judy Hicks is one of the killers or the person perpetrating these murders. So when Judy turns back around, Sidney flees. It looks really bad on Sidney's part because Judy calls Sheriff Dewey Riley, hits him up and is like, Dewey, Jill Roberts' mom, Kate, is dead. Sidney fled the scene. I don't know what's going on. And you start to realize that the Stabathon, and it is said in the film, but the Stabathon was a fake ending. And we've also been clued in at this point during the whole Stabathon scene, during the barn scene that we highlighted, that the killer had a secret camera themselves. Gale mentions the killer is recording the murders this time, which was set up in that film discussion scene. Cut to where the climax, quote unquote, takes place, which is Kirby's house. And running theme in these Scream movies is every one of these kids is filthy fucking rich, and they all live in 3-floor fucking houses with 18 goddamn bedrooms. But you get this kind of after party scene, and we have Kirby, Jill, Charlie, Robbie all at this scene, and then Trevor shows up, and everyone's like, Trevor, why the fuck are you here? And he's like, because Jill invited me. And Jill's like, no, I didn't. And she realizes she doesn't have her phone, so she goes outside to check on the phone. Then Trevor goes looking for her, and we kind of get this setup where this is where the final act is going to take place. This is where the climax of the film is going to take place. Stabathon was the fake ending. The real ending is the after party. And yeah,
I love Kirby's house. Let me just say that. I love her house.
Awesome house.
Dude,
awesome
those
house.
ceiling lights, man.
She has a really high ceiling in her living room. I always love
nice.
that in houses when it's like, it just makes it feel like so grand. But so yeah, this whole final scene, very similar to the other Scream movies. This is obviously like the big final act, the climax, like I mentioned, and characters start going off on their own. They start getting axed off one by one. But I do want to highlight, before passing the mic over to Josh and getting his thoughts on this final scene, let's talk about it up to the reveal, I guess, and like kind of the setup, and then we can talk about the reveal, and then like the true final scene of the movie and how that plays out and everything, because I do have some criticisms there. But I do want to highlight, there is a scene where it is only because Charlie puts on Stab 7 because, according to him, nobody cancels his movie marathon, which makes me confused, because there's no way that in that short amount of time that they were able to get through Stabs 1 through 6. But either way, he puts on Stab 7, which we did see at the beginning of the film in that opening, and him and Kirby are sitting alone because Jill and Trevor have walked off, Robbie has walked off, and it is just Charlie and Kirby.
Another great moment that I crack up at.
Kirby leans over and she says, Charlie, I know you're really into the movie, but now would be a really good time to make a move. And he says, me make a move? Why can't you make a move? And she says, I just did. And they lean in. They are centimeters away from kissing each other. And then Trevor bursts in. And he catches the glimpse of the movie, and he starts talking. He's like, oh, this is my favorite part. Just when you think they're all safe, Ghostface pops out and you're dead. It's great. Interrupts the kiss. And I wrote in my notes that I don't think I have ever seen somebody more mad in a movie than Charlie looks when his kiss gets interrupted by Trevor. But it is so funny. Charlie gets up, walks away. Trevor realizes what he just did by interrupting that kiss and has the most genuine, hilarious reaction in maybe the entirety of Scream, because it's just like, no fucking way was that about to happen. Like, no way were you two about to kiss. And it is so
insulting.
Fucking
That's
hilarious.
so insulting.
It's, yeah, and like, Charlie is not a bad looking dude. Like, the Culkins, I think they're like pretty handsome guys, but yeah, I don't know.
So when he's watching it and she leans over and she says his name, his response when he just says, yeah, and he just looks over, it's so quick. I love it. It's so funny. Yeah, dude, when Trevor's just like talking about the scene and it keeps cutting to Charlie just like really like, and then he does the jump and then he just gets up and just like walks away so fast. He's so fucking annoyed. Yeah, I do like that Robbie gets like a reason to, and his reasoning is just like, he's just a genuine guy. He just wants his boy to make out, like just finally get the girl. So he just goes off, leaves them, you know.
Yeah, I like Robbie, but I don't like this part with him.
The entire part, or just like the end part?
No, the end part I think is actually kind of funny.
Okay.
It's really everything leading up to that. I don't know. It's not a very convincing drunk performance. Like, I think back to Margot Kidder as Barb in Black Christmas, the original, and just how authentic she felt. Like, you could have convinced me that she actually had taken a couple drinks before that scene. Whereas Robbie's like, it's the very stereotypical drunk where he's like walking around and he's like, whoa, guys, I'm so drunk. And I do think it's funny when he hits his head on the plant, though.
I kind of like the setup of the camera behind him.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I'm trying to remember how like the door opens, and it's kind of funny because it's like almost like unbelievable, but I do kind of like it when he just like is looking at his phone, and then he like looks up and he's there. He's drunk, so like I forgive it, but I do like that. I do like that part, and then
I like how he's killed.
love.
Yeah, because we didn't really talk about the rules too much in that film scene because they're not as, I guess, officially stated as the other films in the series are, with like Randy giving the rules of the how to survive a horror movie, the rules of a sequel, and then the rules of the end of a trilogy. But with this film, the main thing that leads to this scene is they say that the only way to survive a modern horror film is essentially you have to be gay, which there is a funny part in that when they're in the film class, because Robbie and Charlie are standing pretty close to each other. And when they say like, you have to be gay to survive a horror film, they kind of take like a step away from each other. But either way, yeah, right before Robbie is about to get the final blow, because he's been stabbed a couple of times by Ghostface when he opens the door, Robbie goes, whoa, I'm gay. And it doesn't matter, obviously.
I mean,
Ghostface ends
if
up,
it helps.
Yeah.
when he just like throws that in.
Yeah, that's a great part. But he pulls a Steven Stone himself as I think Sidney has already arrived to the house at this point, and it's very weird because Jill and Trevor keep going in and out of the house and all this stuff, and they never seem to run into each other. So the wheels in your head are starting to turn.
Yeah.
Like, this is very strange. I don't know if you caught this, but nice little detail. Trevor is dressed in the exact same outfit that Neil Prescott is dressed in the original Scream movie. So that's kind of a cool little, costume design detail. But either way, Sidney arrives. She finds Kirby, and she's like, oh, like, Ghostface is coming, the killer's coming, yada yada, we gotta get out of here, we gotta find Jill and leave and everything. And this is when Robbie pulls a Steven Stone and is able to walk to the front door and falls dead. The knife is in his back, and they're like, oh shit, it's Ghostface, yada yada. Anyway, I forget exactly how it plays out beat by beat, but I know that like Jill and Sidney get attacked by Ghostface at some point. Jill is told by Sidney to hide under the bed, and when Ghostface enters the room, Sidney, quick thinking, is yelling outside, yo, Jill, get away, making it seem like Jill had gotten out, and she's telling her to run away. Gets out onto the roof, gets into a whole tussle. She relinks up when I don't know if she falls off the roof or I think she does. Yeah, she's like holding onto the edge, and she falls off into the bushes, gets back inside, finds Hayden Panettiere again. They go down into the basement because she's like, listen, Jill's safe. I think she's okay. They get down into the basement, and this is where we see Charlie get to the glass door in the basement, banging on the basement. His hands are all bloody. He chalks it up to, hey, I just found Robbie. That's Robbie's blood. And the lights turn off. Kirby gets a Ghostface call. The lights turn back on. Charlie is tied up to a chair, very, Scream 1, Steve Orth vibes, very obvious homage, tied to the chair. Kirby gets the call from Ghostface. Same question. She's a horror movie buff, though, so she's nailing every single one of these questions. And Sidney runs off to go find Jill and get help and everything. And it's a great scene of tension. The suspense is building. It's like, holy fuck, like, what's going on? I love the line, too, before Sidney leaves, where she's about to let Charlie in, and she's like, listen, if you can't trust him, do not let him in. It's just, again, harkening back to Scream 1, when Sidney refuses to let Randy or Stu in, and she hits them with the fuck you both. And then you get one of my favorite scenes, because Kirby just starts, but she doesn't even let Ghostface finish asking the questions, just starts rambling off every single fucking 70s, 80s, and 90s horror movie that you could possibly imagine. And the music is ramping up, and the suspense is ramping up.
I'm just going to kill the mood. I'm going to kill the mood here. Hate it.
All right, well.
I just ruined Jake's day. Go ahead. Continue.
Either way, Kirby
this guy his mood just like, I've never seen Jake's mood just shoot down to like nothing that quickly. Hate it.
Either way, Kirby is rambling off all the horror movies, which I guess only I think is cool. And she's like, Ghostface stops responding, stops talking, and she's like, I got it. I fucking won. She goes outside. She's untying Charlie. And then you get one of my favorite scenes in this movie. But as she's untying him, Charlie stands up and he says, hey, Kirby, this is making a move. And then pulls out the biggest knife that you will ever see in these movies. It is like a 7-inch knife, the biggest hunter's knife I have ever seen in a movie, stabs her in the stomach, and not only has that tight line about, hey, Kirby, this is making a move, but he has one of my other favorite lines, and this is why Charlie is one of my favorite ghost faces in the series, but he says something that is absolutely chilling, and it is, I know, it doesn't happen as fast as it does in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes into a little bit of his motives and wanting to kill Kirby, and he's like, 4 fucking years, and now you finally notice me? Which, like, listen, buddy, at any point, if Hayden Panettiere notices you, you should be thankful. Like, just throwing that out there. But either way, I love the scene, but either way, Josh, tell us why you don't like the scene.
I love the scene. Didn't say that. I hated the one part you mentioned. So why don't you calm down, Jake? All right. I like the entire buildup. I like this. I like all the nods to Scream 1. I don't like the final question. I think it's so dumb. First off, the last I checked, when I'm quizzed in a test, I don't get to answer 30 fucking times until I get it right, Hayden. Kirby. First off, let him finish the goddamn question. People's lives are at stake.
Yeah.
You don't get 20 answers. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, if you ask me a question, what year was this movie made?" and I just rattle off every year in the 2000s, and it was in the 2000s, I got it right? I got it. No, you didn't actually. You gave me 30 answers here. It bothers me so much. It annoys me because A, you didn't let him finish the question, and Charlie's life is at stake. And you expect him to reward you by just rattling off every remake. Oh man, it unreasonably makes me annoyed. Don't worry. It doesn't hurt the movie, Jake. Other things do. That part just annoys me.
Okay.
She's letting him ask every question except that one.
Well, my rationale with it is always like, I think inherently, which I guess kind of gets like ruined by like her going out there, but I don't think she really thinks that answering these questions correctly is going to save anybody's life.
She's playing along with it the first couple questions.
No, I know, and I think it's just to like keep him stalled. But I think when like he doesn't respond, it's like her go-to to like, all right, I'm gonna go help Charlie. But
like I know it's played up because it's very intense. She's like stressed out. It's supposed to be just like a very stressful scene. Like she's just trying to like get out of it.
Yeah.
No,
that's totally fair.
So you said Charlie is one of your favorite Ghostface killers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that hate Charlie up until this point. Because I love Charlie. I love Charlie as a character.
There's people who like him past that point. There's people who genuinely put him as like a bottom tier Ghostface killer.
Oh no, I've seen Charlie as like the worst Ghostface, which I don't agree with. I think that's crazy.
No. Yeah.
But Charlie, to me, I guess honestly, I have a lot of problems with a good amount of the Ghostface killers. So it's kind of like if you're at the top, like if you're in like the top 4 or 5, there's tiers. I think there's like a very decent break, a very like big skip, because I do think Charlie gets watered down a lot at the end, where it kind of loses the charm here. It's like I don't know. I liked him so much, and I think Rory is a really good actor. I think he's like one of the best in the movie.
I think he kills it. Yeah.
And I think he's ruined. I think he's ruined as just like a nothing character. He just feels like it's kind of Stu, but he's also kind of like Randy. He's like just like this like pathetic character.
So,
but
it's interesting that you said that. So let's jump ahead because we'll get to like what you're talking about, which is the second killer reveal. Because as Sidney is in the house, she's making her way through the house and like trying to find Jill. And Charlie gets a hold of her, which is very interesting because like he is one of the I guess few ghost faces in the series that doesn't have like a mask reveal, doesn't pull off the mask, doesn't take off the cloak. He has already revealed himself at this point, but he gets the knife. He has Sidney by the throat, and
It is
I
the
think
biggest
she
knife. Holy shit. Yeah.
it is the biggest. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but there is a scene in Scream 6, and they will show this knife again, and it still looks fucking massive, like massive, especially compared to the other knives in the series. But either way, we're jumping ahead a little bit, and or not really because we're right there. But she is able to. I think she like shoulder checks or elbows Charlie, but she's able to get away. And then she is stabbed by the second Ghostface killer. Mask comes off. And who is it? It is Sidney's little cousin, Jill Roberts, played by Emma Roberts. Hits her with the surprised Sidney. Little, again, harken back to the original with Stu Macher. So yes, we have our two killers, Charlie and Jill. And another reason that I love this movie, and I think it is my favorite sequel. I love both killers. I remember watching this for the first time back in 2011, calling Charlie. So it's another scenario where I was able to call one of the killers and not the other, because the Jill reveal completely caught me off guard. Was not expecting it in the slightest. No part of my brain ever thought that they were going to take I was about to say a family member of Sid and make them a killer, but I guess they already did that in Scream 3. But no part of me ever thought that they were going to take Jill's or Sidney's little cousin and make her one of the killers. And I want to frame this in a way that people understand, because a lot of people nowadays are familiar with Emma Roberts for a lot of the bitchy roles that she plays, whether it's American Horror Story, the show Scream Queens on MTV. She kind of made it a habit. Her character in Where Are the Millers, she's a little bit of a smart mouth, sassy, vulgar. So people are more familiar with that version of Emma Roberts now than they were back in 2011.
Yeah, not at this time.
In 2011, to me, Jake Booz, I just gave my full official name. Either way, follow me, guys. In 2011, the only Emma Roberts that I was familiar with was the teenage dorky girl who played guitar and loved Jake Bahari on the show Unfabulous on Nickelodeon. So to me, Emma Roberts, in my mind, was still that dorky teenage girl singing love songs on her acoustic guitar. And she's played as very innocent and very just normal in this movie,
and she's a final girl also, so you don't really make your final girl, so I do like that.
A part of you thinks that they are, at least for me, for a majority of this movie, a part of you the first time you're watching it thinks that they are making this almost as like a passing the torch kind of moment from Sidney to Jill. So her reveal, I think, is fantastic. It is my second favorite reveal in the series, behind Stu and Billy in the original. Nothing's ever going to top that for me, but this is a close second. I think both killer reveals are excellent. I love how they're executed, and I was believing in Charlie. I thought it was Charlie the entire time, but that whole sequence that we highlighted earlier, that scene of him tied to the chair, threw me off, and then the Jill reveal, I just think it is all excellently done. But yeah, I love it.
I agree. I think both. I didn't guess either. Like I was like always looking at Robbie and Charlie, but I'm like, maybe I don't want to fall for it because they're the film nerds, but I'm not. So that I was kind of just leaning into Kirby most of, like the entire movie. And I don't really remember if I was really leaning. I had to have guessed second, but I don't really remember who else I was like certain of. And this is where back to the beginning thing I said about the themes of the movie, what they're like commentating on, I think is just really well done. I can't tell what my issue is in this final scene because I like a good amount of it, but there's other parts that just don't. Not final scene, the final scene of the house. There's some parts that just aren't working for me, and I don't know. First off, I think I get in the grand scope, Jill has like the best plan of any Ghostface killer.
Dude, it's great.
So I like that she's like the smartest one, and I do like that she surprises you again when she kills her partner. I do like that. It's a nice shock. It works with the plan. It does feel like it wastes Charlie a little bit. He's kind of, I don't know. I think it just waters him down where he's not as engaging as like a Stu. It's just kind of like, he just kind of feels like so secondary and just, I don't know, because I like him a lot in the movie. So I don't know. It just feels a little disappointing, but I'm not on the boat where people say he's the worst. Maybe because he has the lowest motive, kind of. I guess. I don't know. But Emma Roberts, there's something about her. I don't know if it's the dialogue that's written for her. Mm-hmm. She looks like sometimes she is trying too hard. I don't know if it was like the transition period of playing this kind of character that she didn't quite. And she works for like almost everybody. Like everybody loves Jill, and I like her more as a character. I don't know if I'm sold on this performance at the end. It's not even like it's bad. I just cringe a lot during it, and I don't know what it is, if it's the writing for her. So I don't know if it's her fault or if it's Kevin's fault here. There's like...
Was there any specific lines of dialogue that you don't like?
Well, one of her deliveries kind of like cringes me out. It's when Trevor, which oh dude, when she shoots him in the dick, oh my God, that makes me... That's awful.
Shoots him in the... Oh yeah, we didn't mention, but she pulls Trevor out of the closet. He's been tied up. And this is where you find out that he cheated on her and then broke up with her. Yeah. Which she has a funny line to Sidney where she's like, you think your boyfriend was bad? How about one that fucks you, cheats on you, and all this stuff? And
doesn't even get you famous, right? Doesn't she say that?
Doesn't even get you famous. Yeah. Yes, we didn't really say, but that's essentially Jill's motives. Is it's not really for anything deeper. She wants to be famous, and she has this line through when she's talking to Sidney, kind of as these killers do, always laying out their plan and why they're doing what they're doing, because you gotta tell people your evil plan. That's just the way being a villain works. But she's telling her plan, and she says, I just want to be famous. And she says, you don't have to achieve anything anymore. Mm-hmm. You just have to have some really fucked up shit happen to you. And this is hearkening back to what Josh was saying at the beginning about how this film was incredibly ahead of its time. And it's another thing that I always point to when highlighting Scream 4 is that in 2011, the killer's motives is to have a bunch of their friends die, pin it on other people, and then become the famous victim in a very similar way. She has this line to Sidney where she says, this was never about killing you, it was about becoming you. And there's great setup and payoff because there's an earlier on scene in the film where Sidney and Jill are talking to each other, and they have this conversation, and Jill is saying, like, how do you do it? Like, I don't think I could ever handle everybody looking at me all the time and staring in this stuff. So really good setup and payoff there. You think at the time it's just, a nothing conversation, but then you loop it back around when you get to this point, and it's like, oh, they really did a good effort, in my opinion, of setting things up and paying them off. But yes, her whole motive is to get famous, to pin it on Trevor, and like you had mentioned, she ends up killing Charlie. But I love Charlie's performance, Rory Culkin's performance before he gets stabbed, because he starts like smacking himself in the face and like hyping himself up. And he has a specific line where he says, just like Billy and Stu, just like Billy and Stu. And then he says something after that, which is, or maybe it's a little bit before it, but he says like, this time Randy gets the girl, and then him and Jill start making out. So you realize that they're a couple, which again harkens back to a line earlier on in the film where where Jill and Kirby are talking after they've interacted with Charlie and Robbie outside of the school, and Jill brings up Charlie to Kirby, and Kirby's like, "No, I just love torturing him." And Jill says, "He's actually a pretty nice guy. Like, you could do a lot worse." So, a little kind of hint there at their kind of connection. But yes, she stabs Charlie in the heart, to which he responds, "In the heart, babe? That's not how we practiced it." And it cuts to Sidney where she has a great line, and she says, "You said it, just like Billy and Stu." Again, just hearkening back to the original where Billy stabbed Stu way more times and in the wrong places than had they planned. So I just think there's a lot of great setup and payoff. And I understand like the criticism of saying like it kind of cuts Charlie's feet from underneath him, but it doesn't hurt his character at all to me, because in that regard, then I'd have to criticize Stu, because Stu essentially gets made as like a secondary antagonist to Billy in the first movie.
Yeah.
But I think I don't mind it at all, because I think it just props Jill up even better. And she has a great line after she stabs Charlie, and she says, "You know what the media really loves? A sole survivor. Sidney knows that." And I just think that's great too. I love it, dude. I love it. And I don't know how you feel about it. I know you said it's a great plan, but I absolutely love her entire sequence where she is making the whole crime scene look perfect. She's stabbing herself in the shoulder. She's throwing herself through glass tables. She is doing even extra legwork. She is pulling out a piece of her hair and putting it in Trevor's hand. She is taking his nails and scratching her face with it so it looks like her DNA is under his fingernails. She even lays herself out in like the perfect victim pose right next to Sidney, who is passed out.
She's
from
the smartest
blood
one.
Loss.
She's the smartest one. It boils down to that, where I can't even like. Oh yeah, you asked what if there's any part specifically. There's like one that does cringe me out. It's when Trevor's lying down and he says something. I forget what he says to her, and she just says, "Shut the fuck up already." But it's her delivery where it just looks like awkward. She's like almost like at some points it looks like just trying to act too cool. I don't know, too badass, too bitchy. I don't know. I don't know if I would like it, because I like her as a character. I'm not liking this delivery a lot of times in this final scene. It just cringes me out. I like Rory so much more. I don't know. I just don't know if she's. I'm not convinced. It just looks off. Something's off with it. Whereas I buy Billy's just pure evil, like menacing delivery, and I buy into Stu's. I don't even know what the fuck he's doing. This guy is a lunatic. It makes sense with his motives, which are none. Charlie's, I guess he's just working like in partnership with her they both wanted to get famous. I don't know if it's the line, "This time Randy gets the girl." It almost seems like that was his only drive. Maybe that's why.
Well, it's very clear he's got like very heavy incel vibes. Like, and everything he says with with Kirby, I think is very evident of that.
Yeah, and maybe that's what like weakens him a little bit to people, and maybe me also. But I just like Rory too much to.
No, I'll give you that.
Too much there, but
I don't
he's
think
still above
Emma
like
Roberts...
Mickey. He's still above Mickey and like.
No, agreed.
You know.
Because
I don't know.
But I'll give you that. I don't think Emma Roberts' performance is the best, and I don't.
Well, because a lot of people love her. A lot of people do love her in this.
I think a lot of people have a hard time separating a performance.
Maybe it's like Jill
from
more. I don't know.
That's the thing, and that's probably where I am. Like I do love Jill as a character. I think she's very well handled. I know what you mean. There's a couple lines. Like, even though maybe I like the dialogue, Emma Roberts' delivery isn't always top notch. Like, she has the line, like, "I don't need friends, I need fame." Or no, "I don't need friends, I need fans." And it is like, I know what you mean, like when she says, like, "Shut the fuck up already."
Yeah, the eye roll, the like, it's just like. Yeah.
I think what you don't like is the spoiled brat nature of it, and I think that's what actually works for me, because that's exactly what she's playing up. I think is the spoiled brat angle, because that's literally what she is. She clearly had a nice house, she had a mom who loved her, like she had no reason to do any of this other than just being lazy and wanting fame and stardom. And she had no problem because from what I understand from, again, like mega Scream fans, it's a Scream 2 situation where Jill did not commit most of the murders or attacks. It was mostly Charlie, and I think he even takes credit for some of the kills during this final scene. But
I do like that, because he does call out like what his best kill was and stuff like that. Like, I forget what he's
like
actually says.
He says like, "Oh, I have like some sick footage of Olivia's kill," or something like that. But either way, I think it's a really great scene and some nice little attention to detail. Like as Jill's plan of setting up the crime scene, the perfect crime scene, is coming to an end, you start to hear the police sirens in the background as they are approaching. all the cops arrive. Dewey and Hicks arrive on the scene. They come in, they see the bloodbath, all the people killed, everyone dead, and we think that it is ending. The sort of what you think might be the final shot is Jill being wheeled out on a stretcher, and all of the Woodsboro reporters asking her questions, taking pictures of her, all of this this press and attention on her. And I used to think she smiles in this scene, but she doesn't. It's just more of like her mouth is just kind of open.
Yeah.
But I used to, for some reason, think that she smiled. But either way, we cut to the hospital scene, and this is where the true final scene of the film takes place, which I think is funny because in the movie they say that the Stabathon was the fake ending and the after party was the real ending, whereas in the film itself the after party is the fake ending and the hospital is the real final scene. But we cut to Woodsboro Hospital, and Dewey is talking to Jill, who has been bandaged up and been assisted and all of that good stuff, and they're having this little conversation, and Jill makes a little mention that her and Gale should write a book together with their matching wounds. And, you know, Dewey doesn't think anything of it, and he mentions to her that they don't know, but Sidney might be alive. They might be able to save Sidney. She's, you know, got out of surgery. They think they might be able to save her. And I love this little moment because you just, again, you start to see the fear, and you start to see Jill start tensing up just in her facial acting. For all it's worth, with her line delivery in that previous scene, I think she does a pretty good job just facial acting in this moment. But you see the wheels in her head start turning, like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? Dewey leaves. He goes, starts talking to Gale, and Gale, you know, he mentions, oh hey, Jill said like you two can write a book together with your matching wounds. And it takes Gale a second, but she thinks about it and she goes, well, yeah, she was stabbed in the shoulder. And Dewey says, yeah. And Gale responds, how did she know I was? And then Dewey has the what moment, and he starts sprinting towards Sidney's room, cut to Sidney's room, and Jill attacks Sidney, who's fresh out of surgery. You get a brawl right before it, though. Jill has a line like, you just won't die. Who are you, Michael fucking Myers? And they get into this brawl, and Jill like knees Sidney right where her stitches are, and so she starts like bleeding again. And I'm curious what you think about this whole final scene, because I think I like the idea. I'm not super keen on the execution of it.
I have an issue with it. This is where it just feels drawn out for me. I like some parts where I like how it ends, but I don't like just how long it takes to get there. This feels very, and you can feel the rewrites here. You could feel that there was like requests here. It feels very added on. I think it looks like shit. I do not think
like
this
visually.
Looks good. Yeah, I think it looks like shit.
It's not great.
I was like wondering if I had a problem with like what, because Jill's like so smart in this. I guess she realizes there's no way out, so I might as well end on like just finishing the job regardless of getting like away with it. I don't know if she actually believes she's gonna, because she's still kind of, I forget if she says anything that alludes to her believing that, but like she's clearly in just panic mode. Because like I've seen some people say like, what's the plan here? Like she's so obvious. I think she's a little reckless with like trying to, because you could get away with choking her, but I guess Sidney fights back. So like you can't, you're kind of like caught in the middle here.
I mean, Sidney even says to her, she's like, you're never gonna get away with it at this point. And like Jill, like you can hear it in her voice. She tries to like reassure herself. She's like, yes, I will. And you can hear the shakiness in her voice. She knows that she's done so at this point. But yeah, I mean, like overall,
another great Dewey part where he always needs a comedy bit, and it's the toilet, the double hit. I made a gif of it. I've been making gifs of these movies, and Dewey always gets one. I probably should actually.
Post them to our social media. I think they'd be funny. People would get a kick out of them. But I agree. I think we're kind of wrapping things up here. We're almost done with this conversation. But overall, I agree. I think it's definitely drawn out. I think they should have quit while they were ahead. The original ending of Scream 4 would have had that exact same after party scene play out. And as Jill is being wheeled out on the stretcher, you hear from one of the EMTs that somebody inside is alive. We have a live one. And supposedly it was going to either be Kirby or Sidney who was still alive, most likely Sidney.
Yeah.
And I believe she originally in Scream 5 was going to have amnesia. So I'm happy that they didn't end up going with like an amnesia plot line, but I do think you would have had a stronger film had you ended it that way, because the whole hospital scene, it's following like the Halloween Haddonfield route of like these people just survived like a massive killing, a massive attack. There would be
where the fuck
like
is everybody? Where are these
police,
workers?
Nurses,
Yeah,
like high
like,
security protection,
Jesus.
like all. Even Jill wouldn't have been able to get out of that room by herself. Like there easily would have been guards there. Like
I think the best part of that end, besides the very end, because I think the very end is good, but I think the best part of that whole scene is they do their best because they didn't want this scene, so I think they put this line in just to play into the self-aware meta like aspect of it. When she says this was supposed to end at the house, this is just silly. I think that's a good line. I think that I think that does their best to cover their tracks. It doesn't fix it because you still have it, but at least they're doing what they can to lean into the meta. But yeah, I do like Judy's line. I should have led with it in the opening quote, the wear a vest, save your chest. I don't know why I like that line.
And then she has the appropriate reaction, which is passing out because she just got shot.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, so it ends on the the audio overlaying the image of a dead Jill, where it's like the media is just misinformed, just like praising Jill as like this hero. And I think that's just a really strong end. I just wish we don't have this fluff in the middle of it. So I don't know how you do it. I don't know, because I also don't think it would work if you ended where they were gonna originally, where you don't know if Sidney's alive or not, because I don't know how many sequels were greenlit after this, how long it would take, and you're kind of
5 and 6.
But like right after, maybe it would have worked. I don't know.
Wes Craven was commissioned to make a Scream 5 and 6 after Scream 4. I'm not sure if like his health was an issue or just this film being the lowest grossing of the franchise like killed any future projects. But
then maybe you could end on that. I don't like the amnesia thing, but maybe you could you could maybe lead with the hospital scene, not that exact scene, but like a scene like, I don't know how long it would take, but like, I don't know, you could open it where she survives and maybe it's fine. But
no, that's totally agree. We didn't really say how Jill gets killed, but she has Gale at gunpoint. She thinks that Sidney has been subdued, and then Gale says, "Can I have one last word before I die?" What? Help? No. Clear. And then Sidney pops up with the defibrillators and shocks Jill's head. And then obviously they don't want the killers to come back, and so Sidney shoots Jill. And yeah, we get, like Josh said, we get the final kind of closing moments on a dead Jill, and then it cuts outside to the Woodsboro reporters and does like a tracking shot sideways, and it's great because Jill got what she wanted. Everybody, all the reporters are talking Jill up, the sole survivor, the hero of Woodsboro. She got the fame, she got the attention she wanted. She just couldn't wrap it up. She couldn't seal the ending. But either way, that's how the film kind of ends. And so 4 films through, and we this is the final Scream film that we would get for the longest stretch of time, or no, I think it's about the same actually. I think it was 11 years until Scream 5, but we end again, and all of our characters are alive and well. Sidney, Gale, and Dewey all survived. And like we mentioned, this was the last one that Wes Craven was able to direct. So, rest in peace to Wes Craven, obviously an icon, not only of just horror films, but of cinema in general. There's not a soul alive who doesn't know the name Freddy Krueger. And it would have been interesting to see what he would have done with a Scream 5 and 6. I've read like rumors of what his potential Scream 5 would have been like, and it has a really interesting idea, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in Scream 6 because there's a little trivia fact for that. But other than that, let's get into scores and get on out of here. Do you want to start, or would you like me to kick things off?
I could start. So I am rolling with a solid 6.5 out of 10 for Scream 4.
All right. I like it. I like it a lot. I am going to give, I wouldn't say a lot higher. a smidge higher. I'm gonna give Scream 4 a clean 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, I thought it was a 7. I was about to say, wow, that's really close to mine.
It was between a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10, and I just think I think this film does a lot right. We didn't really highlight it, but I think it is easily the best paced Scream sequel. Obviously, you know, Scream 1 is still my favorite, is still the best paced, but I think that the way this film kind of, you know, plays out and unravels the plot from the second that Olivia's kill happens, you cut from that to the garage scene, to the film club scene, to, you know, the whole barn and Stabathon stuff, to the after party, to the hospital. I just think it moves along at a very quick pace. There's not a lot of downtime, and I think that really benefits the overall like experience of watching the movie. But yeah, so anything else, or should we just kind of get into our closing?
Yeah, we could just get in closing stuff. I think the 7.5 is probably where I would have been like when I first saw it. That's like where I was. Okay, interesting. All right, so obviously, guys, thank you again for listening to this episode. It went a lot longer than we had expected. It's gonna not seem as long because I'm obviously, like, I edited out that huge chunk that we had at the one point. But other than I'm amazed
that,
we went longer than Scream 1. Amazed.
somehow, yeah. So either way, thank you again for listening or watching this episode of Franchise Deep Dive. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure, you know, to subscribe on Former Film Student, the YouTube channel, which is my personal YouTube channel, where we upload our episodes to YouTube. And we are also under the Franchise Deep Dive name on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So definitely follow us over there, leave a comment, share our stuff, tell your friends and family about us. We're just two guys who love cinema and love talking movies. And if you think that sounds up your alley, then definitely check out some of our older episodes. Up until Evil Dead, we just did audio only. So those episodes are only audio, and they are also a lot longer than our current ones because we talk about more than one movie per episode. So, you know, different kind of style, different format, but definitely check out our older episodes. We have a pretty extensive back catalog of franchises that we've covered. So yeah, that's really it for me. One more time, thank you again for listening. But yeah, I'll hand it off to Josh.
Yeah, guys, so head on over to Franchise Deep Dive on Instagram and TikTok now. Very, very happy to be giving you guys shorts. If the episodes look intimidating, you can always just check out the shorts, see if there's, you know, some tidbits in there that you know, attract you. But yeah, so just get a little teaser there. All the posts will be up to date there, and like, comment, DM us, whatever you want, suggestions or just your opinions on this stuff. But yeah, looking forward to doing Scream 5 next week as well.
All right. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for 5 Cream next week, guys. We are talking about Scream 5, also known just as Scream 2022. So very excited to break into that, the first non-Wes Craven directed Scream film in the franchise. So definitely stay tuned for that. We do not have a specific upload date anymore, so definitely follow us and subscribe on, you know, YouTube, like I said, and click the little bell notification button and turn notifications on those other platforms so you do get notified when we post new episodes. And also, like Josh said, definitely if you don't like our longer form stuff, we have a lot of shorts, little snippets, little tidbits, little moments from the episode that you guys can check out. We're also going to start in the future uploading maybe with this episode, so you may have seen a couple shorts for Scream 4 before the actual episode drop, but we're going to start uploading little shorts and little clips before the episodes actually air, just to give you guys a little tease as to what we're going to be talking about and, you know, all that good stuff. But one last time, thank you again for listening to Franchise Deep Dive.
Don't forget, you got a question for me?
Oh my gosh. I forgot because we went so much longer than I thought.
I know.
Yeah, so for the last couple episodes, guys, I forgot to do a question, and we're also going to change that up a little bit. I'm going to allow Josh and myself to answer the question, and then also we're going to be alternating questions. So next episode, Josh will have a question that we can both answer. What is your top 3 hip-hop albums of all time? I know my 3, so I'll give it, and I'll give you a second to think. But my top 3 of all time: number 1, Illmatic from Nas, To Pimp a Butterfly from Kendrick Lamar, and Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G. So those are my 3. I know they're very generic answers. They're not like super surprising or super out there, but those are my 3.
Do I have a time limit or?
No. I mean, do you have yours ready? Or
yeah, I got mine. Yeah,
why do you care about the time limit?
Very similar, because I wanted to really impress by getting it before like 5 seconds. But in order, I think. I hate that we have like 2 of the same ones in there. But Pimp a Butterfly, Liquid Swords, and Illmatic are my top three.
I do love Jizz's Liquid Swords. Best
Oh my
solo Wu-Tang album. It's so
That's
good.
probably
Every
my
song
most
is
re-listened
perfect.
to of the top three, though. I think that's like my most re-listened.
Yeah.
Like,
I probably Ready to Die is my most listened to of those three. I don't re-listen to T-Pab a lot. I just think it's like a perfect, flawless album.
yes,
And
yes.
so, yeah. But either way, all right, guys, thank you again one last time for listening to Franchise Deep Dive. We'll catch you on the next episode of this podcast where we talk about Scre4m. And goodbye.
Later.